Hi everybody, my name is Scott Hillier. I'm an independent film director and president of ÉCU, the European Independent Film Festival, and I'd like to welcome you to our habitually fun and exciting and informative ÉCU Friday Live. We've got a couple of great guests with us today, as well as the ÉCU crew to back end this podcast with some questions. But the topic of today's talk is film school the right path, and is it worth it? I've got some very strong ideas on that myself, and we've got two filmmakers here, ÉCU alumni, to discuss their thoughts, or their path and their thoughts about this. Because, it's a well-known fact that a lot of famous film directors like Christopher Nolan and Quentin Tarantino and Wes Anderson never attended film schools, but yet they're pretty damn successful. This sort of puts in people's minds, is film school worth it? Is a degree in filmmaking going to be better in the long run? Because, Martin Scorsese and many other very famous film directors went to film schools. I went to the same one as Martin Scorsese. Because at film school, if you are the right person with the right mentality, it's a place to develop your skills, your network, your first films. But, the question that we're going to discuss today is the film school approach the best one to make a career in the film industry? To join us today, we've got two fabulously talented filmmakers: Ori Birgier, the director of Night Stroll from Israel, and Vanja Tognola, director of Moles. Both of these films played at ÉCU. I'm going to start off with Ori first. Ori was born in Haifa. He's a filmmaker from Israel who studied cinema at the Tel Aviv University. He's directed short films and documentaries. He works as an editor in TV and cinema, and I've seen the results of his directing experience here at ÉCU. Ori, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Excellent. Thanks for joining us from all the way over there. Ori, why don't you tell us a little bit about your path up to where we are now, and then we'll delve into the film school element.
First of all, I'm happy to be here too. Thank you. So my path, it's a lot has to do with film schools. Actually, I studied cinema in high school. And then after the army, I studied cinema in university. This is like the more serious place to study. And there I made short films and began working as an editor. And now I'm a filmmaker here. That's my path, I think.
And a very good one. I tell you what, Ori, as we have this discussion, we're going to play a little bit of Night Stroll, just for people to get to know you a little bit better, rather than just your face and your spiel. We'll play a little bit of Night Stroll, and as we do that, why don't you tell us a little bit about Night Stroll, how it came about, the inspiration, the story, and how you went about making it?
So Night Stroll is my diploma film. It began, I wrote it from like a personal experience of me as a child in Haifa, which is a smaller town in the north of Israel. And about the experience of going to the big city and getting exposed for the first time to art. In the movie, he goes to see a dance show, a modern dance show, and how it opens up the experience of living and engaging with life as an adolescent for the first time. So this was the origins of the story. I began writing it in film school. It went through different phases, and in the end, it turned out to be my diploma film.
We particularly loved your film, and because of the visual elements of it, and the dance scene that you talked about, and we're going to play a little bit of it now. It's a very strong visual. How did you come up with that?
I really love modern dance. As a viewer, I go to see a lot of modern dance, and I really wanted to have strong visuals in the film in general, not only in the dance scene, because this is what I love in cinema. Cinematography is one of my favorite parts of it. And in this scene, I knew I had to have a lot of very good shots, but I needed to have one shot, like, because for me this scene is the inciting incident, and it's without talking. It's a very weird, dramatically inciting incident. So I needed to have like this, like bang, like to show for this kid to see. He sees this and it's like, wow, his heart explodes. So I needed to have this one shot. So I knew I want him to enter the screen, a bit of like a royalty, and I knew I want the color red, and I got a lot of inspiration from Israeli modern dance shows, like companies like Batsheva, and they work a lot with these colors on the back. So well, I work with that.
Well, I can say to you that it was visually striking and very memorable, and I think that's a great lesson for any filmmakers that are listening to now. Is, you know, the whole entire film should be something, but if there's one moment in your film that you make it memorable, and you definitely achieve that. So I'm going to move on now to Vanja.
Hello,
Vanja. How you doing, man? Why don't you do the same thing? Why don't you give us a little bit about your path, and then we'll talk a little bit about your fabulous film, Moles.
Well, yeah, basically, yeah, same. My whole cinematic path is basically from film school. I started as studying computer science in Zurich, but realized that I couldn't. Working in a field like that without having like an escape through creativity was too much for me. So like, I'll just study film, and here I am. I did a few short films in film schools that traveled a bit, and Moles is my last one.
Well, let's go and talk a little bit about Moles, because I've actually seen it in a couple of film festivals around Europe.
Oh, really?
It's a very interesting film. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it? Because obviously it plumbs the depths of the dysfunctional modern society that we live in, which is I'm talking about because I see a lot of people on their telephones and doing things for likes. So why don't you tell me a little bit about your inspiration for this film?
Well, sadly, the inspiration comes from reality. A few years back, a friend of mine found an article about like this huge amount of people in Italy that lied about their holidays, and not just lying, but there was quite a few of them that actually hid at home and pretended to be somewhere else. This was from 2003, so from a time where social media didn't exist. So I thought, well, nowadays, if someone wanted to do that, and probably still happens, they have to find a way to prove in a way or another that they were there. Because back in the day, you could say, well, my film camera fell in the ocean, I don't have my holiday pictures anymore. But nowadays, anything you do, if you don't have a picture, it sounds suspicious. So I imagined this whole story, and of course, through an hyperbole and how catastrophic it can go if someone follows that and puts that as his main and only objective.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously the film takes a dark twist at the ending. But, you know, I do see the way forward from this. And I guess that, you know, you and I are not geniuses with this, but I do wonder where we are going with this when it's coming to people who are much more interested in doing that rather than reading a book or getting outside and actually talking to other people. It's a fascinating time to live in, and I'm trying to remain very positive at heart to see where we go with this. But I'm glad that, you know, you're making films about that to actually show a little bit about where this can lead and looking for a better path. But again, both very talented filmmakers and ÉCU alumni. So you're stuck with this for the rest of your professional careers or in beyond. So I know that Rodrigo is probably already, or he will be reaching out to you guys to help us with some submission judges for ÉCU 2023, because that's what we do. Once you're part of the family, we then try and bring on others. So you'll be definitely called upon to do that. But let's move into the meat of what we're supposed to be talking about today, and that's the film school. I'm going to start with you first, Ori. What, was it worth it? Was it good for you? Did it put you on the right path?
For me personally, it's a definite yes. Definitely yes. I think it is a complicated topic, but for me personally, it was very good mainly because I met my people. Like I met the people that I can work with, who today are my best friends, and we create together. The people I consult with on every step of the path, every draft of the script, that are with me on set, that I trust, and I know to ask them their opinion and to trust that they say, the truth. So for me, that was such an important thing, because I was, before that, I was kind of lost. I had all those ideas. I didn't know how to bring them to reality. And the film school also gave me some structure to develop, but mainly the people I met. They helped me, I helped them, and together we do stuff and we grow up. That's so important for me. I couldn't have done it without them, without my friends. So that's a great thing.
So, Vanja, what about you, mate? Is it worth it? Has it been worth it for you?
I think for me, as I was saying, I was trying to say it was necessary. Film school, similar to Ori, I've met some of my best friends and talented and creative people that still help me to this day with my next projects. So from that side was absolutely a must. And also, I can see for some people that maybe they know what they want from the start, and maybe they start on their own, or like working on set and trying to find their people through work. I was also quite lost in the beginning, also so for me, really, film school gave me everything, gave me like possibility to do these short films that are it's a portfolio. It's a way to show what I'm capable of, and met a lot of interesting and great people along the way. So totally worth it for me.
Again, it's a pleasure for me to be able to speak to such positive, happy people that have had great experiences. Let's play on the dark side a little bit. Well, were there limitations? Were there things that you went, Ori?
Who first? Okay, yeah, that's why it is complicated. I think one of the most important things about it is to choose where you're going to study, because I know there are places that I know that are very, very more strict approach. You need to do this and that. I personally think this is very bad. Like it can be even harmful. For me, I was lucky. I went to a place that I love until today, and they gave me pretty much a lot of freedom. Like now when I think back, I'm like, that's even weird. Like I did some weird shit back then. Sorry, but and they gave me the freedom to do it. And I really appreciate it, because this helped me to find my place in this world of cinema. So there were limitations, but not a lot actually. Like maybe I was lucky, I don't know, maybe I had good connections with the people, but I didn't feel restricted. I felt I have freedom of creativity. And that's good. I think that for me that was a must. If it wasn't like that, I would go away. because it's
Vanya?
very subtle.
Yeah, Vanya, you're...
For me, I mean, I know of other people in my school that felt a bit of not being free enough. However, because basically, I mean, we had seminar films, so films that can be done during the year, each semester, and they had a theme, or anyway, like it had to be channeled in some way. But for me, those limitations always brought more creativity, and I've managed to, do the stuff that I wanted to, even though there was a thematic limitation. But otherwise, I've managed to do whatever I wanted to. So I can't really say that I was limited. I also, school depends from school to school. I studied in Zurich. I was very lucky to get selected there. And I know that my school in particular in the future will change some stuff, and it will be less free for the filmmakers. So I'm glad I'm out in time, but otherwise never had problems in that sense.
Well, it seems to me that you guys made the very most of what you had, because some of the criticisms about film schools, of course, is they don't give you as much gear as you want, they don't give you as much film, they don't, all that sort of stuff. And I was a war cameraman for several years, and I'd been a cameraman for 10 years before I was sitting in the Holiday Inn in Sarajevo in 1993, and bombs were falling, and it was a very, very difficult time. And I was with a bunch of cameramen, and we used to do 6 weeks in Bosnia and 6 weeks in Mogadishu and Somalia. So we were going backwards and forwards a lot. But one night we came into the hotel, and there was a dining room, and all the windows were blacked out, and people shelling outside and whatever. And there was a film crew sitting at the end of the table. And here you had all of us sort of hard-bitten war cameramen, sort of like going, we're scared of these guys. Who are they? They shoot film. I mean, and we're like, what the hell's that? And so we were I was intimidated. I think all of us were. It's because it was a medium we didn't know. So I decided to go to NYU, and reputed to be a very, very good film school. And I went in there, and I'll head on the positives for a bit. I mean, after being in there, literally the first day, I held an 8mm film camera in my hand, and I was shooting film. And I was like, wow, this is very interesting. This is great. And I ended up, after a week or so, I shot the shot that I'd actually paid all that money for, which was a driving shot with the New York City skyline and whatever. And I was happy. It didn't then take on very much more than that, apart from the fact that I still have friends to those days, and some of them are jury members on my film festivals, and that's a great thing. One thing that I didn't do, and it sounds like you guys took the opposite approach, is that I didn't experiment enough. And I think any advice that I would have to anybody going into the film school world is experiment and do the craziest shit you can possibly do, because as a professional, I can't do that. I was out shooting for the NBA yesterday, and guess what? I couldn't do what I wanted to do. I did what the NBA wanted me to do. So, and I think that's one thing that I regret from film school, was drinking too much beer, not sleeping, and not always having my batteries charged. But just the fact that I didn't push enough. And that sort of segues into the experience we've had here at ÉCU. We've had the festival running now for 18 years, and if you look around me, I've got, surrounded by dozens of very keen, young, talented people from all around the world. Some go to film school, some don't. But I bullshit you not, there has been at least 10 to 15 occasions where I'll take second-year film students out on a professional film shoot, and they do not know how to put up a light stand. And I'm like going, guys, you're second year of film school. And they're like, oh yeah, we're doing the theory bit first. I'm like, the theory is open the box, first of all, close the box, run around up and down some stairs for a little bit, then come back, and then I'll show you how to put up a light stand, because they just weren't curious enough. Or, you go to film school, I worked on a film set with Steven Spielberg once. He knows every single thing, from every cable, lens, wireless transmitter, everything about it. He just knew everything. And I thought that was one thing that I've definitely found from film schools that I've dealt with is they're not pick up a heavy box and carry it up some stairs a little bit and set up some lights, even if I don't need them. Do it. And even if you're a screenwriter, you should know everything. So that's my little rant about that type of stuff. What do you say to the young people in a film school now, or the ones that hopefully it won't be 2 years in and not know how to put up a light stand? I'll start with you this time, Vanja.
Well, yes, try everything, and especially if someone is more focused on directing and screenwriting, that doesn't mean that one has to be completely oblivious of even as a director, to know if everybody else is doing a great job. You need to know. You need to have like knowledge of everything on set, and take the opportunity in film school to do stuff, do films, try whatever you can. I mean, you have these years of experimenting, of finding your own voice, of everything. I mean, it's in the end, it's like your portfolio. It's like what you managed to do in those years that will count. I'm talking as a director, of course. It's if someone is doing film school as a DOP or anything else, then like life on set is what matters the most. And yeah, that's what I have to say.
Ori?
I agree that everything on set is very important. Like the first years when we had to go to sets were very important. Also, you meet there the people, but also I think it's important to know from the inside. Like even if you're a scriptwriter or director, it helps to know about it. Like in your thinking process, to know what is cinema, how do we do it. Like I think it's very important. And I really agree with you, Scott, about experimenting in studies. Like I did that, but but not enough. Like the minute I went out of film school and I got the reality bite, and I was like, oh fuck, I needed to. Too bad I didn't experimented more, because now it's like expensive. It's money. It's money time. It's like you need to deliver. Like I do a short film, independent short film, and it's like it needs to be good. It's very expensive. So you still experiment, but it's harder. It's more scary. The stakes are higher. And in film school, there are no stakes really. Like you can just do stuff. I wish I experimented more and learned more and crafted more my vision. I mean, I'm not sad I did it, but even more like exercises. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's so funny because, as I make a lot of commercials now, and I've got clients, and you have to justify everything. But at the film school, it just got me just then as a couple of the kids were playing around with red and green gels. And I'm like, we never use that bullshit in my life. And I bullshit, 30 years later, I'm shooting an independent short film in my house, and I shot a crazy, weird semi-sex scene, and I lit it all in green. And I've just remembered now, that's exactly somewhere that those film school kids who were messing around with, drugs and green gels back in all those years ago, that somehow implanted into my head. And yeah, the experimentation is crazy. But now I just want to play a little bit further on the dark side and a bit more on the devil's advocate. I see young ÉCU crew kids coming in here with $60,000 to $120,000 film school bills. And on the other hand, I see them watching the independent films that are coming in, and people making 1 or 2 5-minute films every year, honing their craft, finding their crew and their team there, which I know takes a lot more discipline. But this is a discussion about this amongst 3 film directors here. But maybe that's not a bad path to do as well. To instead of sending $60,000 to go to X film school, make 10 films. Ori?
Yeah, I'm in Israel. It's different. How much did you say?
I mean, Columbia Film School is 120 grand. 3 years.
120 grand for the all the years?
Yeah, for 3 years.
Yeah, it's a lot. I think personally, I maybe would have taken the money to make a film. In Israel, it's a bit cheaper cinema studies. Yeah, it's expensive. I don't know. I don't have an answer. Like, I think if you have the structure and the idea and like to just make a film, then go do it. But I know for me, for example, I couldn't do it. Like, I couldn't do it alone.
Yeah, but again, I think people listen to this here, and I'm hoping the ÉCU crew around me listen to that, because not everybody can afford that money, and I think both of you pointed on that: structure and discipline and desire. I mean, we can't negate that, with desire to make things. I'm working on a project right now, and I can barely breathe just thinking about how excited I am to actually finish the script and make the film, and that's the desire that will push me on to make it without needing to have gone to NYU. But Vanja, what do you think about the, save my money, put it in the bank, eat pizzas, and make films with my mates?
Well, if that's the cost that your film school that you have around asks you, then I'm totally with you. For my case, it was quite cheap. It was like $700 as per semester. So it costed less than what they give me back to me, like just money wise. If I have to shoot a film, I got all the material. So, and I have these people, and I have mentors, and I have all these infrastructures that helps me a lot. If the opportunity, like the film schools that you're looking for as such a high cost, then yeah, it becomes like a matter of economics. Like, okay, I can invest this money in a film school, or in like do my own projects, and then it's a more debatable, like what's best to do. Yeah.
What I guess from me, just on this is yeah, I don't know. I'm really torn about giving sort of direct advice, but I do have to say that I see films coming in here at ÉCU every year, and they stun me by the fact that they've just gone out and done it, and just getting out and doing that stuff. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hand it over to Rodrigo. Rodrigo's the festival coordinator here at ÉCU, and he's going to lead you into some question and answers. I've prepped the staff to ask you deeply personal, difficult to answer questions. So good luck. Okay, Rodrigo, it's off to you.
Hello. So I will ask the first question, and my first question goes to both of you. Was there at any point throughout your studies a point where you said, maybe I want to quit school? At some point, did you feel unmotivated, maybe by some of your teachers or by experience? Or were you happy your whole career, and ever since you started to the moment you graduated, you were like, this is the right path, this is what is good for me?
No, definitely I had a moment of, I've actually quit in the second semester of the second year. It was a very hard year in the studies, and I went to the head teacher of the directing department, and I told him I'm leaving. I have had enough. Yeah, it's hard, Yeah, I quit, but then I came back. He was actually very cool. He was like, he understood it's like a rebel, and he was like, okay, take time off, just do this and that courses, so you have the chance if you want to come back next year. And I did that, and I came back next year, and it was all fine. He kind of saved me. But yeah, I wanted to quit. But I think it's, in life you want to quit sometimes, stuff, so.
And you, Vanja?
No, never had that thought. There were some difficult times, mostly, however, due to COVID. I've graduated last year, so yeah, the 2 years prior were quite tough. But I could see the year by semester, like with the films they did, and how everything improved, that there was never the question of living half of the way through. So yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So now I will give the word to Liliana, who has a question for you.
Sorry, it took me a while to unmute myself. Yeah, so I think my question is for the both of you. So how did you go about entering the professional life after film school? I'm just curious because I literally just graduated and I know the feeling of what do I do with myself now? Like, how did you deal with that? How did you find work? And how do you combine that with your own personal projects?
Okay, I'll start. No, I never know. For me, I started to I have to put both things. I mean, like professional work to how do I get my money. So working on sets, I worked as an editor a few times, that sort of stuff, and now my first project as a director that I have is a documentary co-produced by the Swiss television, and now I'm focusing on that. But yeah, usually there is a bit of that juggling around in order to survive. But yeah, it's working. I mean, I guess it also depends from where you are, and I mean, Switzerland is quite small. Everybody knows everybody more or less, so it can be useful. Maybe in Switzerland the whole industry isn't that big, but there is not as much people. So yeah.
For me, yeah, I try to. It's difficult. It's very, very difficult, and it's a big juggling. Like my path, I work as an editor in films and television, but I also continue to write my own project that I want to direct. So it's kind of like these two hats that I need to juggle between. But yeah, it took some time after the studies to enter the industry and to work. But at the beginning, you say yes to a lot of stuff and just do a lot of things. And then at some point, things begin to bring other things. And now I do work, like I edit films and stuff. But I think the important thing for me was to keep focused. Like, I don't know what you want to do, but like, I still want to direct and write. So it was really important to me to keep being focused. Like, I saw a lot of my friends after cinema school, like going all over. And it was important for me to always keep some time, even it's on weekends, to write and work and push my projects. And it gets easier in time, like yeah.
Okay, and I'm going to unmute myself. Just on that one for me, and great advice, guys, great advice. But I think that one thing that I get a lot of people coming to me, recent graduates, they come up to me and they say, "Hi Scott, here's my diploma," and I'm like, "Hey, show me your reel on YouTube." And I think that's the best thing, and that's why it's just so important to remain focused and do whatever, but do stuff so that when you're in a bar, a plane, a metro station, whatever, you can actually say, "Hi, my name's Scott Leily. Here's my work. Here's who I am." And I think that's one thing that is I'd like to just hammer in after what you said. But now it's back to Rodrigo.
Now Patricia has a question for you. Patricia.
Hello, nice to meet you. And my question is also for the both of you. I would like to ask, what is one piece of advice or like one sentence that you will never forget during your time in film school? Maybe from a teacher or your colleagues or like anyone, something you will never forget.
Good question. There are, for me, yeah, there are three sentences that jump into my head. It's hard to choose, but I think the greatest. Okay, so one sentence is quite famous. You know that you write, that you create three films when you make a film: the one you write, the one you shoot, and the one you edit. It's so true. And as an editor, it's like it's a big light. Like it's. I always tell directors, let's move on. It's new. Let's create new. Not always remember what the original thought was. It's important, but also new. Another sentence is a bit smaller but cute, and I love it. We had a very good teacher. He would say always, "Don't put two spoons of sugar in the tea." Like it's he was a directing teacher. He's like, "Don't put two sugars. Don't overdo it. Do it subtle." And it always in my head. And the greatest lesson I think I had was from my script teacher. We had one class about point of view, and he would say you need to find your point, the way you see the world, like the point of view from where you look at the world, and when you find it, you can write your stuff, your stories. And it was a very good lesson for me. It was really important.
For me, actually, one is it's the same that Ori said. So I was like, "Oh, damn it!" But no, but yeah, that's like as a writer, director, and then in the editing, there are three hats that you have to wear and put off and forget a bit of the rest. Like you're writing a film, then you're directing it, and then you're editing it. And I could see it especially with one of my short films. It was the first one that I shot in school, and it was a comedy, but it was too long, it didn't work, and in the edit, I was like, it's not. I can't find the way to make it work, and I left it in a hard drive for a while because I had other projects and I did other stuff. And years later, when I have to finish film school, I have to finish all the projects that I had in standby. I just looked at it, and in 5 minutes, I could exactly see what the cuts that were needed. So from a 12-minute short, it became a 5-minute short that worked beautifully. And there I could say, now I understood perfectly that sentence that. I was so close to that film as a writer and director that I forgot that you have to forget that if what you wrote or what you did on set didn't work, you have to find other solutions in the edit, and also kill your babies. Is that also like even if you're really attached to it, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I mean, there are two things: either it works or it doesn't. So you have to pick the one that works.
Perfect. And our last questions come from Fanny.
Yes, hi. It's very nice meeting you, and I'm really interested in both of your answers. So this goes both of you. So, whose opinion or critic is the most important for you about your films or what you're doing?
Again, I didn't.
So, whose opinion or critic is the most important for you?
I think for me, it's the people that I appreciate their art, like, and that I feel I have a connection to their art. So I think those are the one. But it's very flexible for me. Like, it's depends on the critics. It's how I feel hearing the critics. If it creates something inside me, if I'm like excited from it or drawn to it, then I take a lot of I listen to it. And if I feel like, oh no, he didn't get it like at all, then I will keep it in my head, but if I will see it come back in a lot of critics, then I will look at it. But it really, each critic, I feel how I feel about it.
Yeah, for me is is similar. I mean, of course, you're especially in the edit. I mean, when the film is gone public, it's too late. But in the edit, there are always moments where you're like, okay, we're a bit stuck in a moment. How can I make it work? Is it working? So you ask people, of course, to see it and give it an opinion. And usually I go as Ori with friends people that I respect their work, and so professionals that maybe they can see as a professional something that I've missed, and again, then it depends how you react to it. I mean, people are just mirrors to yourself. So if you see that it's right, it probably is. Just don't. Just because I don't know, Steven Spielberg comes by and tells you to cut this, but you're like, no, that's even if it's a big person or like an important person, I think it matters most how you feel like it, but also not be completely blind. I mean, you have to see it for yourself if that's actually the right solution, but it doesn't have to be also just professionals or friends or not. But also sometimes I just show to or ask friends to show it to other people that they don't know or that they don't know me, because otherwise if it's a friend, it's like, yeah, it's cool, but maybe it's not. It's just it's not really a real opinion. It's more just to make you happy, which also is one have to be careful about that. But if it's like someone that is just a viewer and is just judging it as someone that maybe likes film, doesn't know you, and sometimes also good feedbacks come from random people. So yeah.
And also just jumping back in on that from my point is I'm making a point on your point is that, you know, if Steven Spielberg comes in and says, no, that doesn't work, but it works for you, I mean, whose name's going to be at the end of the thing? And I think that you have to, you know, a film is by you. And that's very important advice for me. I mean, I make a lot of films for clients who will then walk down the hallway and ask 15 interns what they think of this film, and you're going to get 15 different points of view. And I think when you own something, particularly as an independent filmmaker, you own it. And, you know, you guys, you know, drown the baby or whatever. I always work on the kissing theory, which is, you know, keep it simple, stupid. Because, you know, when you can do that, rather than complicating everything, which is, I learned a lot about complicating things in film schools, but keeping it simple and subtle and sophisticated and intelligent, I think is always the way to do it. We're slowly starting to wrap up, guys, just because that's what we have to do. We always have to go off and make films and make some money. But the ÉCU crew here, the events crew here at ÉCU, always come up with some interesting facts that we like to start wrapping up the show with. And one that I found interesting this week was, they tell me that the world's first film school was the All Union Institute of Cinematography in Moscow, which was established in 1919. Apparently it was supported by Lenin, who recognized film's ability to communicate his revolutionary message to illiterate and non-Russian speaking audiences. We would probably call that propaganda today, but whatever. And then another good one is, according to the San Francisco Film School, since 2010, 92% of its graduates from their digital filmmaking programs have gotten jobs in the entertainment industry. So, you know, while I'm still not converted into preaching for film schools that everyone should go, because I'm much more of a go and make the films and work with 60 million different people before you do this. They are good, and I do want to send out a plug for the one film school that I have utmost respect for, and here at ÉCU we've been partners with them for probably 15 years, and that's the Hamburg Media School, obviously based in Hamburg, but we get a dozen films from them every year, and everyone is good, but most are great. And I think you can't want more than making a great film. And I think the Hamburg Media School, if anybody is out there looking, and we're not getting paid for it, I make no money, but if my daughter didn't believe that film was a bit rubbishy and fashion was much better, I would be doing all they could to save up some money and send her there. So that's a little shout out to our partner. But I'd like to thank our two guests, Ori and Vanya. Again, you're part of the ÉCU family now, guys. So you will help us if you have the time to judge some films and get more independent filmmakers' works out there and seen. So from the ÉCU crew and myself, we thank you very much for this great conversation, and we wish you the best of luck and get back to Paris and see us again soon.
I wish.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. Really fun.
Yes,
Really nice.
No worries.
Pleasure.
Pleasure.